Good day, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to attend our webinar on Kenya's mobilization of counties for nutrition action with technical assistance from Nutrition International. We are so proud to have had over 280 people registered for this webinar today. I see that 69 people are already online. We expect that more will join as we go ahead. We are delighted to have you all. Next slide, please. This webinar was prepared with support from Nutrition International's TEAM project, funded with the UK aid from the UK government in collaboration with the Ministry of Health in Kenya. Next slide, please. I am Richard Pendame, Nutrition International's Regional Director for Africa. I am happy to be the facilitator and moderator for this webinar. Before we begin, I would like to go over some housekeeping. Please do note that this webinar is being recorded and that the recording and the presentations will be shared publicly at a later date. Please also feel free to introduce yourself in the chat box. It's always great to see who is participating and from where. Just be sure to set the to dialogue to everyone so that everyone attending can see your comments. Also, feel free to post questions for the speakers in the chat box through the webinar. We will take note of them for the interactive panel discussion. Finally, please do tweet about this webinar and use the hashtag #InvestInNutrition #NTEAM and tag at Nutrition INTL, capital letters, so that others can join the conversation. Next slide. I would like to share a brief background on Nutrition International and our NTEAM for those who may not be familiar with us. Through its nutrition technical assistance mechanism, known as NTEAM, Nutrition International shares its expertise globally to support the scale-up of nutrition for the most vulnerable. We believe that knowledge rigorously obtained and generously shared is key to effective progress for nutrition. NTEAM provides timely and coordinated expert technical assistance to governments, multilateral organizations, development banks, and other global nutrition partners to overcome gaps in capacity, design and delivery of multi-sectoral nutrition action plans. And NTEAM encourages broad use of knowledge by translating technical information and research into accessible guidance, tools, capacity strengthening resources. Across all areas in which we work and taking a gender-sensitive approach, we provide guidance, oversight, and quality assurance to ensure relevant and impactful technical assistance. Technical assistance for nutrition, abbreviated as TEAM, is a project within Nutrition International's NTEAM, funded with a UK aid from the UK government. Through the NTEAM's TEAM project, Nutrition International has been working closely with the Ministry of Health in Kenya since 2017, supporting them to develop the Kenya Nutrition Action Plan and corresponding country nutrition action plans. Our distinguished speakers will share their experiences working together to improve nutrition outcome in Kenya. Next slide. I would now like to take this opportunity to introduce our esteemed speakers. I am delighted to be joined here today with Gladys Mugambi, who is the Sun Focal Point and Head of Division of Health Promotion at the Kenya Ministry of Health. We have also Leila Odiambo, Deputy Head of the Division of Nutrition Dietetics Services at the Kenya Ministry of Health, who is representing Veronica Kirogo, who is the Director for the Nutrition and Dietetics Services in the Ministry of Health. Then we have Ruth Kaloki, the Head of Nutrition Dietetics Unit for Makueni County in Kenya. Martha Nyagaya, Nutrition International's Country Director for Kenya, and Dr. Daniel Mwai, Nutrition International's NTEAM Technical Assistance Provider in Kenya. The next slide, please. The objectives of this webinar are for the Government of Kenya and Nutrition International to share their experience with the technical assistance for successful implementing nutrition priorities at country level in alignment with the national plans, and for identifying and implementing ways of working between local and national authorities to share the local nutrition plans and allocate local funding to them. Our agenda items are three of them. First, we will begin with some opening remarks by Gladys Mugambi. We will then move to the presentations by our panelists, after which we will begin our interactive panel discussion where you can pose questions for our speakers. Next slide. Without further ado, I would like to welcome Gladys to deliver the opening remarks. Welcome again, Gladys.
Thank you very much, Dr. Pendame, for inviting me and for welcoming me to this great meeting. My name is Gladys Mugambi, as you've heard. I'm the Scaling Up Nutrition Focal Point for Kenya, and I'm a member of the Global Executive Committee of the movement. And I'd like to thank Nutrition International and the TEAM project for organizing such a good meeting where we're going to discuss about the Kenya's mobilization of counties for nutrition action with technical assistance from Nutrition International. Kenya joined the SUN movement in 2012 with a commitment to undertake coordinated actions to improve the nutrition status of the country. From then, institutional transformation has enabled different actors and stakeholders to come together into a shared space for action, ensuring a coherent and legal framework while aligning actions around a common results framework. In 2017, the Nutrition International through TEAM project supported to review the 2012-2017 National Nutrition Action Plan, and in 2018 provided complementary support to the development of the 2018-2022 Kenya Nutrition Action Plan. Since governance in Kenya is decentralized, whereby we have 47 counties that are independent, there was a request to support counties to contextualize and develop their own plans as a key learning from the first year supported. The main aim of the CNAP is to contribute to the Kenya National Nutrition Action Plan 2018-2022 goal of achieving optimal nutrition for a healthier and better quality of life and improve productivity for the country's accelerated socio-economic growth. Sorry for the noise at the background, settling. So the plans are also the basis for allocation of resources to prioritize projects and programs as determined by the counties. The CNAP therefore provides a blueprint for counties to identify relevant multi-sectoral nutrition actions that are context specific, which they fully own and take leadership for. The CNAPs identify priority multi-sectoral nutrition actions for each sector. It defines targets for each intervention and provides a monitoring and accountability framework, as well as posting of interventions which country governments can use for subsequent planning and budgeting. So we recognize the contribution of Nutrition International's technical assistance, through which technical and financial support has led to development of the county plans, which are going to be shared today, specifically by Ruth. And we are glad that counties are able to share with the world what they are able to do. And there's a lot of value in having a team that supports and builds capacity of key actors, at the same time provide guidance through steps that have been agreed upon together. And that is the TA that we've received from the team that Mr. Moa is going to talk about. So the TA brings on board experts who are good in planning, reviewing of policies, and monitoring and evaluation. This expertise may lack at county level and even at national level, and that sometimes delays the process in completing the plans. We acknowledge support from other partners also, including but not limited to other members of the Civil Society Alliance. And in Kenya, Nutrition International chairs the Civil Society Alliance, and the members are working together to support all that is happening. We also have the UN network that has also supported this work. UNICEF brought in experts, and we had other UN bodies also participating in this. We also have the academia that we really appreciate, who have started their work to support us, and the business network. They have all worked with the Nutrition International to mobilize counties and ensure that the CNAPs were completed in time and are being used. I would like to welcome all of you to this meeting. Let's listen and contribute to improving what is being done, and also being able to understand how this works. I wish all participants an interactive and informative webinar, and thank you very much for inviting me to this meeting. Welcome.
Thank you, Gladys, for giving us the opening remarks. You have actually highlighted the three main areas that Nutrition International through the NTEAM has provided support, namely the review of the 2012-2017 multi-sectoral action plan and the development of the new multi-sectoral plan that is in force as at now, and also support to the development of the county-specific action plans, and how this work is actually related to the work of SUN movement. You have also highlighted the many areas of technical support that were provided. So thank you very much, Gladys, for the opening remarks. Next slide, please. We will now move into our presentations from our panelists. Our first presentation will be Leila Odiambo, representing Veronica Kirogo, who is the head of Nutrition Dietetics Unit in the Kenya Ministry of Health. Thank you for being with us today, Leila. Over to you. Leila, are you with us?
Yes, I am with you, Richard.
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Over to you.
Yes, thank you so much. I am going to present on behalf of the Division of Nutrition and Dietetics. I'm Leila Akinyi, the Deputy Head, and I believe someone is projecting my presentation. Yes. So my presentation is about the support from Nutrition International towards Kenya Nutrition Action Plan and the Kenya and the County Nutrition Action Plans. Yeah, so Based on the guidance I received, I need to say that we are in a devolved system of government, and Kenya transitioned into devolution in 2013, and we have 47 autonomous counties. And because of decentralization, it has made government come closer to the people, enhancing responsiveness to local needs, including issues around transfer of power, authority of functions, and even resource allocation from national to local governments. And therefore, the services come closer to the public, as is expected in a devolved system. And therefore, because of also budgetary allocation, because each county is allocated its own budget and its own free hand in spending the funds, there is also the ability to locally raise revenue by counties, and this has played a critical role in resource mobilization for counties to enable programs to move, including nutrition programs. County governments also translate national policies into county-specific policies and also implementation. We have county priorities being unpacked from national priorities to make county plans, and the extent to which nutrition is a local priority determines the extent to which it is locally funded. Now, again, in the spirit of devolution and functions, at national level, we still remain with the function of health policies. National referral facilities, level 6 facilities are still at national level, and we also give technical assistance to counties and many other forms of assistances, which I will outline later. And at county level, they have, as outlined in Schedule 4 of the Constitution, under health, we have specific functions of promotion of primary health care and also carrying out responsibilities through county health facilities and pharmacies. So those are the ones that are specifically linked to nutrition, and being also a multi-sectoral platform, or nutrition being a multi-sectoral intervention, we also collaborate closely with functions in other ministries like social protection and labor, and Ministry of Agriculture and Ministry of Education. Next slide. So specific roles of the Division of Nutrition include capacity building and technical assistance to counties. We develop policies, guidelines, and standards. We support the national and county governments to mobilize resources, just like this TAN assistance. We also provide services, nutrition services. Emergency nutrition response is still under the national government, and conducting assessments, including national surveys and other assessments that we collaborate with counties to conduct. We also still have a role of requisition and distribution of nutrition commodities. There are some commodities that are procured at national level, and also nutrition information and education. Next slide. At devolved faction in detail, we have the local governments are and how important they are for scaling up nutrition. The county governments, the one we are referring to as local governments, have a responsibility for implementation of health services. That's why health is devolved. They own health facilities and services, including the hospitals across the different levels from level 5 to level 1. They also offer, I know someone is saying there's background noise, I'm not so sure. There's no TV near me, so not very sure what that is. I'm sorry for that. They also offer environmental services, including preventive health, control of communicable diseases, nutrition, family planning, health education. They also employ staff. So even from devolution, we have seen a lot of increase in employment of nutritionists. So that is a critical role of county governments. Provision of drugs and medical supplies, including nutrition supplies. Right now, counties are procuring their own iron folic acid supplements, and also supplements to manage other forms of malnutrition. Provision of primary health care is also their role. So you find scaling up nutrition benefits from these roles because it's only through these roles of the devolved counties or the devolved function that nutrition can be scaled up. Next slide. From the engagement between NI and the technical support since 2017, we have seen a lot of support in terms of technical assistance to develop policies, strategic plans, and technical guidelines. We have seen, we also have seen strengthened county level engagement, and we are hoping that this can be continued. We have capacity support in identification and priority of nutrition actions in respective counties aligned to county nutrition action plans and the Kenya nutrition action plans. We have also seen better understanding of multi-sectoral county nutrition action plan, and we are feeling that the multi-sectorality of nutrition is still not well understood at county level, and therefore we need to improve on that. Partner interest also needs to be coordinated. We have partnership framework at the national level as a guidance. We can consult that. We have learned a lot from the match funding that NI is implementing, and we are hoping that this can be a good lesson that can be translated. But we still have gaps, like for example, NI support is to certain counties and other partners support other counties, and therefore we find some counties are left out. These particular 7 counties are outlined here have not developed their county nutrition action plans, and therefore we still bring them up to partners for conversation. I don't know whether there's any other slide for me. I've been told my time is up. Yeah, the priority areas that need technical assistance in the future, in the next 2 to 3 years, we have strategic areas in health, that is policy making. We expect the support for those areas. Health legislation in that area of nutrition research, repository, reporting and monitoring. We have a lot of assessments and national surveys that are planned. Coordination and partnerships, a lot of coordination happen, but specifically we hope to support counties in terms of their coordination, support for resource mobilization, especially how to advocate for more resources, capacity building and technical assistance for the routine services like development of CNAPs and all the other documents, development of standards and protocols, which is our mandate at national level for all programs, advocacy and awareness. It's an area NI has supported us a lot, and we hope to be supported with policy briefs and advocacy meetings. For health service delivery, we develop a lot of documents that need to be printed and disseminated. Counties are grappling a lot with tools to document health service delivery. It's an area that we may be able to support in, and health products and technologies in terms of nutrition commodities and supplements. And I believe that is the end of my presentation.
Thank you very much, Leila, for the presentation. Just to summarize, you touched on a number of areas which I can try to list here. You outlined how the government of Kenya is devolved and the structures thereof, and the functions of each level of government. You have also highlighted the roles of the Central Ministry of Health, or what is the National Ministry of Health, in supporting the county governments in terms of planning and implementation of programs at that level, and how the technical assistance for nutrition has actually helped the Ministry of Kenya to actually support in building capacities at the county level. And you also highlighted key areas of support that the TA was provided, like policy development strategy that NI has been providing, but in addition, on the multi-sectoral nutrition action plans, advocacy for improved investment into nutrition, and also developing financing mechanisms for the multi-sectoral action plans that are developed at the county level. So thank you very much for that presentation. I would like to remind our audience that you can start to submit your questions for the panel discussion in the chat box at any time during the presentations. We will now hear from Martha Nyagaya, Nutrition International's Country Director for Kenya, and Daniel Mwai, NTEAM's Technical Assistance Provider. Let me hand over to you, Martha. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. In this session, we are going to share with you some of our experiences in TA provision, as well as some of the lessons that we have learned for scaling up some of the models that we have used to do 4 critical things: to mobilize resources for nutrition, to develop the policy and strategic environment, and also to ensure that the programs are implemented with technical support from development partners in a coordinated way, and multi-sectoral actions are coordinated. Next slide, please. So the Technical Assistance for Nutrition program, as Richard mentioned, was designed to support, deliver, and track multi-sectoral nutrition programs in consultation with the national government, and particularly the SAN focal person. And success to us is when we finally overcome the gaps in capacities at different levels. So over a period of 6 years, between 2015 and 2021, we have provided a suite of TA requests from mainly the national and county governments and through the office of the SAN focal person. So in 2015, we had a very rigorous consultative exercise to jointly diagnose requirements for capacity and technical assistance with the Ministry of Health. In 2016, we jointly designed terms of reference and a work package that saw a series of technical assistance programs that have been provided between 2017 and now. And the first one was a review of the National Nutrition Action Plan for 2012-2017. And the purpose of this was to identify gaps, identify subsequent TAs required in policy formulation, in development of the next strategic action plans, in coordination, and particularly in costing of these plans, given the devolved governance system that Leila mentioned. In 2018, we supported the development of the Kenya National Action Plan for Nutrition, as well as development of the SAN Business Network strategy. And the reason why we did this too is that we realized the gap in involvement of the private sector in nutrition, as well as the gap in having a multi-sectoral action plan that can work in the context of devolution. In 2019, we provided technical assistance to assessment of counties and how then the national actions could be translated into priority actions at county level. In 2020, we have provided additional support to counties and TAs on various things that I will present in subsequent slides. And in 2021, we are now working on completion of these TAs to ensure that the programs that we have supported in the past 5 years are not only being implemented, but in a sustainable way beyond the TAN program duration. Next slide, please. So what have we done in sequence? The first thing we did, as I mentioned, is the Kenya National Nutrition Action Plan. And this is an overarching framework that then determines what each counties will contribute to each key result area in the Kenya National Nutrition Action Plan 2018-2022. Supporting the development of this action plan then reveals prioritized actions, targets, but most importantly, coordination frameworks and costs for each intervention for each of the sectors. Once the National Action Plan was developed, we realized that given the devolved governance system, then we needed deep subnational engagements on planning and financing for multi-sectoral nutrition actions. And as Leila has mentioned, devolution provides an opportunity for Kenya to implement a truly multi-sectoral approach to nutrition, because all the sectors responsible for nutrition are devolved and are autonomous at county level and converge at one point where coordination happens. So supporting the development of a county level plan was based on the national plan, ensuring evidence-based interventions were prioritized, and looking particularly at the fact that counties are different. So from the National Action Plan, we not only draw contextually feasible interventions, but also appropriate interventions at county level. We set county targets that feed into the national targets, but we also have a monitoring, accountability, and result measurement plan for the county nutrition action plans, as well as a coordination framework. But the most important thing, again, about the county nutrition action plans is that it addresses the planning and budgeting gaps that we had at county level. Because the plan is costed and it has actions for each of the 11 sectors responsible for nutrition every year for 5 years, they can easily lift these actions and transfer them into their annual work plans and budgets, therefore making the process very easy, as well as identifying what agriculture sector needs to do in nutrition, for example, what the health sector needs to do, what social protection needs to do, and education. And so this has made multi-sectoral planning at county level really attainable at subnational level. The third function was to ensure that these plans are funded, because we have mostly seen commitment to policy documents and plans for nutrition endorsed by political leadership without allocation of resources in a concerted manner. And so to ensure that we speak finance language and include the ministries of finance in the various counties in the process of funding this nutrition action plan, we supported advocacy efforts with governors at county level, with departments of finance at the county level to ensure that local plans were funded. So we supported the development of the cost of hunger study at national level, as well as the county investment cases that then speaks finance language to the finance departments at various levels. The county investment case provides to the county how much it will cost to select priority interventions for different sectors, as well as how much they will gain and lose if they did not support preventive and rehabilitative nutrition actions. For example, it tells the county, what does the county tend to lose in the health sector if they did not address nutrition and if they did not prioritize nutrition in the first 1,000 days? And this has been the single most powerful tool in mobilizing resources for nutrition and enabling domestic funding for nutrition. Beyond that, then we provided incentives for allocation of resources to nutrition. So whatever the county government decided to allocate for nutrition, we offered to match. So we have signed new performance-based match funding agreement for the first time at subnational level for nutrition to increase investments by counties. And by the end of last year, we were bringing $4.9 million above baseline. And that is a 5 times increase in domestic funding for nutrition interventions over a 5-year period and across 11 counties. Next slide, please. So Nutrition International in Kenya has a program model with a clear objective. And this is the first performance-based matched funding model to increase resources available for nutrition, expand coverage of low-cost, high-impact interventions that the counties can afford to fund from domestic coffers, and build government capacities to continuously finance and implement effective nutrition interventions. So our main objective is to drive low-cost, high-impact nutrition interventions aligned with the county nutrition action plans, mobilize domestic resources from the county, increase effectiveness and impact of nutrition expenditure and programming in the county, because in the past there were a lot of overlapping costs, and sometimes, for example, an agriculture sector did not know exactly what about nutrition should be funded. We also have managed to increase transparency and accountability in nutrition financing, and we have been able to thereby increase the likelihood of attracting additional financial resources for nutrition. So from Nutrition International's perspective, we must be able to see not just more money for nutrition, but more nutrition for the money. Next slide, please. So in the same context, we had to establish baseline levels of funding for key nutrition interventions. And we have been able to put in place systems that will allow us to track financing for these interventions in future, increase transparency and accountability, and also establish a financial flow mechanism directly to counties. So what is significant about the model? Why is this model important, particularly now in a devolved system? It supports the implementation of multi-sectoral action plans at scale. It ensures county ownership and financial sustainability. It provides predictability for the county between 3 to 5 year plans and commitments. And it also ensures additional resources, increasing confidence of donors. And it is a replicable model that can be scaled up. So it is the involvement of not just the Department of Health, but stakeholders from finance, agriculture, education, water, gender, community development. But most importantly, the county assembly, who are the members of parliament at county level, to ensure nutrition is prioritized and continuously resourced. Next slide, please. So what are the main critical actions to speed up progress that has been made so far? We are currently in 11 out of 47 counties where we have seen these commitments and actions, but we still need to support comprehensive multi-sectoral programs at county level, continuing to support capacity development. Technical capacity to implement nutrition is there, but we need capacity to plan effectively, to avoid overlaps across sectors, and to continue to coordinate actions from the various sectors. The second one is technical assistance to improve targets and drive actions. Now that we have the plans and we have the resources, we need now to ensure that we have the depth of technical expertise required to achieve the targets we have set in those action plans. The third one is continued advocacy and engagement of multiple stakeholders. We know that political commitment is essential. We know that we need continuous engagement with members of parliament at county level to ensure that these programs are resourced as per the commitments that were made. We also know that scale up and diversifying of the financing for nutrition will be helpful, because most of the resources that we have now are from the health sector. We need to mobilize additional resources from all the other sectors and to consolidate this in a pooled resource that will fund multi-sectoral nutrition programs. And thereby, we will be able to foster sustainability. Next slide, please.
Martha,
and so I am going to
Martha,
stop
speed
there.
up. Please speed up.
That is my last slide, Richard.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is Dr. Moy Daniel, the TA provider, a lecturer of health economics and specialization in strategic planning. We provided the TA through Nutrition International, through Futures Health Economics and Metrics. So I'll speak into the approach, the special area of gender, and of course, the resource mobilization element, and some critical elements that we are highlighting for portaling. Next. In terms of the approach, and in line with what Martha have highlighted earlier, and even the earlier speakers, is that the uniqueness of the approach that have been used in providing technical assistance in this piece of work relies on one, its heavy consultation, given the fact that nutrition is multi-sectoral in nature, and therefore we have a consultation with the senior government management, because this was a government-led TA supported through the NTEAM. From consultation, then we had a team which was ideally diverse in specialization, that was leading the technical assistance, spanning from health economics and the issues of financing, nutrition, monitoring and evaluation, and even healthcare system strengthening. And this team is the one that was working close with the Nutrition International and the government at both levels to generally deliver this important TA. The team was set up to lead the process, and this team was multi-sectoral, drawing from not only the sectors that are nutrition sensitive, the nutrition related, and even those that are providing the enabling environment for implementation of nutrition interventions for each of the counties that the strategy or the action plan was being developed. There was importance in having an inception meeting to generally bring the buy-in from the senior management on one, the work that is just about to begin in the county, and two, to really get a selection of the team that will lead each of the county in identification of the unique areas of investment that need to be done for nutrition. In this trade, then, a workshop was being held to generally take a lot of consultation from these line ministries and the different stakeholders working in the county, as well as both donors also working in the county. Also, after that, the key other point I want to highlight was the issue of dissemination, which was taking place generally to make sure that the counties are able to review and assess the product to make sure that it is in line with their priorities as identified within the other documents. For instance, the development plan, which is a longer term plan for the counties. And then the last step was to utilize the developed document, which is a county nutrition action plan, in actually leading the resource mobilization process and making sure not only the donor commit to the funding of the same, but also the government also comes in to showcase its commitment to the ownership of the program and even the implementation of the strategies that are highlighted within or prioritized within the strategy. Next. The issue of gender mainstreaming is critical in nutrition programming, and this has become of greater importance in the recent times to actually be considered in nutrition programming. And this TA came at a time and provided a window to actually catalyze its acceptability and utility in guiding programming for nutrition. And since this is ideally newer approach in programming, not only for health, but even in other line sectors, then we provided this TA on this basis by first building capacity on actually understanding the importance of this and why it needs to be utilized in guiding investment for nutrition, giving the gender analysis generally for the county, highlighting the issues that are critical and may have a bearing into the usefulness and effectiveness of the interventions that have already been highlighted, consulting with the counties and implementers both at national and actually at the county level to see how can this be integrated to actually have a holistic approach in nutrition programming. And in this, the achievement is that I would say that there is a higher understanding of the importance of looking at gender issues and mainstreaming it not only in government documents, but also in the not only the intervention being implemented, but also those that are being evaluated and budgeted for. Next. In the line of resource mobilization, remember this is now the policy utility of the document, that a costed nutrition action plan is actually a resource mobilization tool. And to make it a resource mobilization tool, it should be acceptable, and the process is as important as the end product. And here we highlight that in engaging, the engagement was extensive, really capturing in the development partners who could provide resources, the line ministries who are also responsible for implementing of these nutrition interventions, and the high-level management of the county, not only the health, but also the whole county, to actually understand the importance of actually allocating resources and even prioritizing nutrition interventions within the county and investment of the same. And this is where the issue of the investment case was becoming also critical in speaking the language which can guide investment, just as other ministries are usually able to bid for resources and mobilize for them from the finance department. In terms of how the engagements were done, I would say, and the agreements made, is that through this extensive collaboration and discussion with the county, which is multi-sectoral, then the county would accepted, of course, the senior management, it's the importance of allocating resources to nutrition. And we can see that example of counties were allocating around $10 million, 10 million shillings, for instance, for nutrition program. And some of these counties have never allocated resources, as Mother has highlighted in the earlier presentation. And this also shows that advocacy efforts are important in actually realizing the goal of nutrition. And this is more importantly by making the management of the government and those who make decisions on budgeting understand why it merits to actually put their resources in investing in nutrition and even in health. The working environment was catalyzed by the serious collaboration of us and the other partners working within the county. Here we are talking about the implementing partners who came in to not only support us and participate in discussion on priority intervention areas, but also making the voice be heard on the areas they are planning to support. And this assists generally catalyze the county to be able to start forming up their resource mobilization strategy to make sure that they cover the need for nutrition within that county. Next. I would highlight the 5 key elements that were important for this technical assistance. The first key unique element is that this is a government-led and demand-driven technical assistance that Nutrition International has been able to offer to the counties and the national government. The approach is unique in the fact that it really overemphasizes the multi-sectoral component of nutrition, its coordination, and also involvement of the key stakeholders that are actually involved in implementation of nutrition investment within specific counties and the national government. Third is that the TA generally was also driven by the need to develop a document that can be turned into resource mobilization strategy for the national and the county. And this was done by costing the document and making sure that it is aligned to the annual planning cycles of the government to make sure that it can inform the annual work plan each year. The advocacy component of the political class is key, because resource allocation, we have realized, of course, in the health sector that the decision to allocate more resources not only depend on the health sector itself, but other sectors that are actually involved, for instance, the finance sector or line ministry, as well as other sectors.
Daniel, a minute to go.
The Last issue on this key point is the ownership and capacity development. And through the methodology that we used, we saw that people have been able to pick these ideas and use this approach to actually develop and assist even other counties that the technical assistance had not reached. Next. Martha?
So I would just like to summarize this slide deck by highlighting some of the strengths of Nutrition International's technical assistance model and style. It has to be demand-driven. More often than not, development partners would assume a capacity gap that is not envisaged by local government or national government. The technical assistance provided by Nutrition International is tailored to the request for support received from government and a joint diagnostic workshop that looks at where the gaps are in terms of implementation of multi-sectoral nutrition programs. The other point is that the TA can be long-term if needed. In Kenya, TA was based on a long-term relationship between Nutrition International and government, and that long-term relationship is then building trust and making it possible to develop a high-level strategic work such as advocacy for political commitment, capacity development, planning and resource mobilization at multiple levels of the government. And the final one is support for multiple functional areas. As I mentioned in the beginning slide, we had to bring on board the private sector. The support was both broad and deep, covering data, monitoring, planning, policy development, evaluation, learning, financing, governance, planning, which is really a holistic approach to development and implementation of policies and strategies for nutrition and for success. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Daniel and Martha, for the presentation. At this point, let me invite Ruth Kaloki, who will actually highlight and shed more light on the support to county governments and how the county governments, evaluates this TA and its importance to the county government. Over to you, Ruth.
Thank you, Dr. Pendame, for inviting me. My name is Ruth Kaloki, heading the Nutrition and Dietetics Unit in Makueni County, Kenya. Next. So I'll be speaking on the perspective from Makueni County on our County Nutrition Action Plan development process and local mobilization. Next. So a little background here on Makueni County, that it is located in the southeastern part of Kenya, like you can see there. It is basically arid and semi-arid, experiencing sometimes drought or erratic rainfall, and has a population of about 987,653 as per the National Census of 2019. The county experiences high levels of poverty, which is currently stands at 34.7%. And the kind of malnutrition that is so rampant in this county is stunting, where most of our children, like a quarter, are short for their age. Next slide. Next. Yes, so this one gives us a little bit of our journey towards coming up with our county nutrition action plan. And for the participants of the webinar, it's good to highlight, to point out that some of these steps have been highlighted by Dr. Mwai, and therefore I will just do a mention of some of them. So our journey to having our county nutrition action plan started in back in June 2019, where we formed our County Nutrition Action Plan Technical Working Group. Important to point out that malnutrition, like I've said, being chronic in this county, it calls for multifaceted approaches to be able to eliminate or minimize it. And therefore, the technical working group was multi-sectoral, bringing together various departments in this county, as well as our partners, so that we could be able to come up with a good document. Then that was followed by an inception meeting, which was basically headed by the departmental heads. And basically this was a buy-in meeting so that they could be able to ensure that the document, while ready, the interventions highlighted there are well incorporated in their various departmental plans. And also to ensure that there was release of the technical officers to participate fully in the process. Then after that, that was followed by a drafting workshop where we drafted our County Nutrition Action Plan, which was followed by a lot of internal back and forth between the county and the consultant. Then that, once we felt that we were like ready, we had a validation meeting, which now brought together all our stakeholders, so that we could together with them go through the document, so that they could give us their inputs to ensure that the document was well comprehensive. Then after that, we did our launch in November 2019. The launch was, again, incorporated everybody from the political class to the community, where our community health volunteers were represented. And the launch was graced by the NI president, as well as our governor for the Makueni County government. Next slide. Next. Okay, so now again, we look at some of the value adds that the Nutrition International Technical Assistance gave us. First, there was a lot of technical expertise that was gained between by the county from the consultants. Then this, like Dr. Maya has pointed out, it was a very consultative process whereby the county, the national government, as well as our partners and our consultant were so much into the process. Then again, we were able to together identify and prioritize our interventions as per our local context, because like I've said, the problems which cause malnutrition in this county are different and very specific to Makueni. And therefore, the identification of the right interventions for us was very key. Once this was done, then we were able to develop the costing framework, as well as the monitoring, evaluation, accountability, and learning framework, so that we could, as a county, be able to track the milestone, the process of getting to where we said we'll be as a county in the next 5 years. Then, of course, we all know that coming up with a document and without a way or means of actualizing it is null and void. And therefore, we were so much assisted by Nutrition International to come up with to conduct a domestic resource mobilization to ensure that our document was financed, so that those actions, what we said we would do, could be consolidated into action. And therefore, this called for a lot of high-level engagement and advocacy meetings. In fact, immediately after the launch of our CNAP, we had a high-level advocacy meeting between our leadership and NI, where the two parties reached an agreement to support the implementation or the actualization of the County Nutrition Action Plan by giving a commitment to finance the interventions were highlighted in this particular document. Therefore, again, before that commitment could be done, a budget analysis was conducted, and this process was ongoing as we were continuing to finalize the County Nutrition Action Plan. We were again doing analysis on the fiscal, to identify the fiscal space for nutrition in this county. And therefore, once this was ready and the launch for the document was ready, then now the through the high-level advocacy meeting, the commitment was done. After the commitment was done, then there was a development of a nutrition financing agreement between the government of Makueni County and Nutrition International, where the commitment was for every shilling given by our government, and I would give an equal measure for the next 3 years. So the commitment was that the two parties would finance the County Nutrition Action Plan each year with 22 million. So for 3 years, a commitment of 66 million was done. This was, of course, to ensure that this happens. A special purpose account was opened, and so that the monies could be ring-fenced there, and the process of implementation started in July 2020. Next. 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 Okay, thank you. So a little look about the outcomes since implementation of the Makueni County Nutrition Action Plan. It is important to highlight that we have been able to see strengthened nutrition multi-sectoral collaboration between our various sectors or departments in this county, as well as our other partners. And therefore, the issues of both nutrition specific and sensitive interventions have been well articulated, and plans done, as well as review of the progress. Then also the Department of Health in Makueni County has various other units. So we have also seen enhanced linkage between the various units in this department, like the unit of environmental health, the unit of health promotion, the unit of nursing, as well as reproductive health and health information. Then we have also seen a lot of increased capacity in terms of knowledge, building of knowledge to both the health and non-health managers, as well as the frontline service providers. And because of the issue of some of the interventions that we are doing outside the health sector, bringing on board also the education sector, both under the county government and the State Department of Education in the county. Then we have also seen also a lot of improvement in our quality of data, where we have been able to do data reviews in every 3 months, as well as also conducting data quality audits to ensure that there's cleanup of data, and the data from the primary source documents marries or agrees with what is uploaded in the Kenya Health Information Software. We have also done a lot of creating demand in the community, in our community, so that they can be able to seek healthcare when needed without being coerced. And this has been actualized through our community health strategy, which has been strengthened through capacity building of the community health volunteers, as well as the community health extension workers, and also a lot of sensitizations and promotion of some behavior change interventions, like promotion of the 10 key interventions focusing on the first 1,000 days, which has been very critical, and also issues of the social behavior change communication, where our communities can be able to understand the importance of seeking healthcare or attending antenatal care, even as early as they notice they are the women are expectant and before the first 13 weeks, as well as taking the iron and folic acid supplementation or supplements throughout pregnancy, or even for preconception. So we have seen a lot of improvement in this, and that can be proved through our service indicators, where most of the service indicators have improved, starting from the skilled birth attendance, which we have seen improve from 72% to 89% currently, so among others. So to us, the Makueni County Nutrition Action Plan has assisted us, and the reason why we have been able to do this is because of the leadership that we have received from our departmental heads, as well as the good coordination from the nutrition unit. So thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Ruth, for highlighting the TA support received by Makueni County and the outcomes thereof. At this point, I would like to thank you, our esteemed speakers, for the great presentations that you have given this afternoon. Next slide. We will now begin our interactive panel discussions. Please submit your questions in the checkbox. I apologize in advance if we will not be able to get to everyone's questions, as we also started a little bit late the session, as we were waiting for participants to join the call. So the first question, actually the first question has 3 parts. And these should be tackled by Ruth and Daniel, so get prepared, Ruth and Daniel. First is, what advocacy tactics did you use for resource mobilization at county level, and what were the challenges? The second part is that leaders will change with time. What was done to ensure the funding for nutrition is sustained beyond the present leadership? Over to you, Ruth and Daniel, and any of the panelists who would like to come in. Thank you.
Thank you. I think I can highlight a little issue on that. So in terms of the resource mobilization process, of course, this is a continuous process that will go beyond this government, and therefore the involvement of the middle level managers that manage the healthcare sector, as well as these line ministries, for instance, the finance, generally creates appetite for continued financing. Kenya is in the MTEF process, and in that process, then it means that even for budget, you make the budget for this year and you project some other years that will come. But I think the largest gain is in making sure that nutrition is prioritized within the county documents, and county documents are owned by the regime that is already there, as well as the regime that will come, because that is part of the county priorities. And the advocacy efforts to make sure that people understand the importance of putting money into nutrition creates a sustainable financing process, and the effort will still continue even past this government. There are challenges, of course, also because resources are always less than the needed expenditure, and therefore that makes a big challenge to make sure that there is continuous effort to make sure that nutrition stays on the top of agenda, because what is in the top of agenda is where the resources are actually put. So I think providing of evidence is critical. Making people understand the importance of investment and the return for it is important, and making sure that not only the senior management, but also the other drivers of the healthcare programs, as well as line ministries, are able to actually articulate the importance of this investment, so that they will be able to carry this beyond the current government. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Ruth, you want to add something to what Daniel has said?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Richard, for pointing out the questions, and to Dr. Mai for a lot of highlights that he has given there. I wish to add that as a county, the advocacy tactics we involved was to ensure that nobody was left out. From the top leadership, our executive, the governor, the deputy governor, the committee, the executive committee members, we did a presentation to them. And from that, we got a buy-in once we highlighted that the problem, because unless the problem is highlighted that our leaders understand it, then they may not be able to support our ideas or what we feel should be done. But once they understand, as in especially pointing out the impact chronic malnutrition has and will have, not only to the health sector, but also to other sectors, including the economy of this county. And of course, no government would want an economy to do bad because of something that can be tackled early. So that was one. The other one was the legislation, the legislative unit, where we again brought on board the assembly, the county assembly members, convened by through the chair of the health committee, and again we did a presentation to them. So we were able to get that buy-in. Then from there now, of course, everybody in the health sector, from the top management of the department to the middle level management, again, a presentation was done and they were well convinced about that. I would say that the challenge I would point out is that sometimes there must be a lot of will and a lot of patience, because it may not go as easy as probably or as quick as a department would wish it goes, because now the other departments have to be brought on board and to have a buy-in, and therefore time has to be spent and has to be allocated for you to be able to get this buy-in. Then you cannot give up. You have to have a lot of personal drive to ensure that that is done. Then the next question on about the change of leaders, I think Dr. Mwai pointed a lot about it, but the plans we have as a county is that we are together with the assistance of NI working on how we are going to have a nutrition bill, so that all these things can be well articulated there to safeguard the gains that we have done so far. Back to you, Richard.
Thank you very much, Ruth, also for highlighting the role of nutrition bill in ensuring that the changes that might happen in the counties in 2022 after presidential and local governments elections, the commitments that have been made are actually seen through up to the new administration. So I think that's great. Let's go to the second question. And the second question, let me ask Leila and Ruth. Sorry, we are coming back to you, Ruth. the question is, we can see the interventions in the health sector. What are other sectors doing in the CNAPs? And do you track the performance of those other sectors? And does each sector allocate resources to a CNAP? Or does the county provide a block of fund annually? I hope it's clear. Leila or Ruth? Hello?
Okay. Hello. Thank you again, Richard. And I think I would go first, then Leila can add. And it's important to point out that in Makueni, we have the County Nutrition Technical Forum, which I highlighted in my presentation that it is multidisciplinary or it is multi-sectoral. So that is one of the forums through which immediately we completed and launched the County Nutrition Action Plan. We disseminated it. So in attendance of all the other key sectors, we were able to disseminate the County Nutrition Action Plan to them. And we were able to go through one of the key research area, which tackles the other sectors that basically deal with nutrition sensitive programming. Therefore, because this forum meets on quarterly basis, what we do in each forum or in each quarterly meeting, each sector, again, because they are members and they are present, they present their plans, they say the resources they have allocated, and at the same time, they also give feedback of the process of what was highlighted to do. So say a sector like agriculture, in the action plan, there is a commitment to do kitchen gardens so that we can be able to ensure that one of the problems that is causing malnutrition in the county is inappropriate infant feeding, more so complementary feeding, because the diversity, the number of food groups that these children are supposed to be fed on, they are minimal. They do not meet the recommended standards. And therefore, part of what lacks, because I said our county is arid and semi-arid, basically is more of the vegetables across. And therefore, once they do the kitchen gardens, then we will be sure that the households will have continuous supply of those food groups, and therefore that helps us. So they report like in which areas they have been able to do the kitchen gardens, also the small animal rearing, and that. Thank you.
Thank you. Leila? I think we've lost you. I think let's go to the next question. And this question is to Daniel. How are resources tracked to ensure that the resources are not diverted to spends beyond and outside the nutrition scope? Maybe Ruth might also provide more info on this question. Over to you, Daniel.
Thank you, Richard. I think I will highlight just a few issues, and then Ruth could add. There are various, the budgeting for nutrition is of course done within the larger budgeting for the health within a county or even the national. And within there, we have the budget, which generally outlines the allocation that have been done for nutrition. And then within the expenditure side, then we have resource tracking tools that can be applied. Of course, periodically they are used within the national. There is a national health account that generally tracks resource use, not only for health, but also have a sub account for nutrition, which is a good way of capturing the expenditure. Within the Kenyan system, they have actually gone further at the Ministry of Health to really track the expenditure for nutrition by county. So this is a good tool that can be used. There are other resource tracking tools for nutrition, which are important for utilization for this purpose, as well as the budget. And the implementation by the program managers at the county level, as well as the line ministries that are not in health, this is also something that can be tracked. So I think this is also an issue of evaluation of where the money went to guarantee not only technical efficiency, but also make sure that it's aligned with allocative efficiency.
Thank you very much, Daniel. I will ask Martha if you have something to add on. I know you are doing matching funding in terms of supporting the CNAPs, and therefore the issue about ensuring that the resources that have been earmarked are actually used for the purpose intended and they are tracked. You might wish to add how you are actually making sure that the funds that you've matched and even of those of government that they have committed are actually put to good use. In addition to giving more meat on question number 3, I have also a question for you, Martha. In your presentation, you said that one of the critical elements is to diversify funding. Do you have any other suggestions of how to do this? Over to you, Martha.
Thank you, Richard. I want to mention some very quick things that have been a problem. So for the first time, we have a budget code for nutrition in the counties where we work. I think that is the first point of tracking resources for nutrition. Through that budget code, we have worked with the National Bank, the Central Bank of Kenya, to have a special purpose account. And this special purpose account is attached to the financing agreement, which means that the money is exclusively for nutrition activities drawn from the County Nutrition Action Plan. So we have the baseline figures of what the funding for nutrition was, but we struggled with this because there was no budget code for nutrition and had to draw this out of bulk monies that were given on other budget codes. But TAN has developed a tracking tool at county level, and through the special purpose account, this is attached to the IFMIS, which is the Integrated Financial Management Information System. So every month we can draw a financial report from the IFMIS system, and through the budget code and the special purpose account, we know exactly how much is being spent, how much is being used, and we can track not just expenses, but how much money the counties are putting in the special purpose account every quarter, based on their commitments.
Okay, thank you. Can you attempt 30 seconds on this question 4 in terms of how can, what's your recommendation on how to diversify? Martha?
Resources. So we, as was mentioned by previous speakers, the CNAP document articulates interventions from various sectors. The current funding that is provided by counties is bulk money that is then allocated to various activities in the CNAP, which are multi-sectoral activities. We need to ensure that the county sectors that are mentioned in the CNAPs in future also commit some resources to this process based on their own budgets in those sectors. And so continuous advocacy will require additional allocation from the various sectors included. And we know that there's a risk because of transitional governments, and we are working on this, The risk that we have post-election is that governors at county level may not live up to these commitments beyond their term. And so we are already putting in place some mitigation strategies with very strategic advocacy to identify champions
close up.
That will do this beyond the program duration, as well as provide legal solid backup for these commitments through ring fencing the money and ensuring that we have policy documents for this process at county level. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think at this point, I would like to thank you, Leila, Ruth, Martha, and Daniel for that engaging panel discussion. We are now closing, drawing this webinar to a close. I would like to thank the participants for making yourself available for the webinar and for your active participation. I would like to, when the session ends, a feedback survey will open on your screen. We would greatly appreciate if you can please take 3 minutes to complete the survey so that we can know how you enjoyed our session. We will be sharing a copy of the presentations and the recording in the coming days. All the best. Please continue to take care as we struggle to cope with the COVID pandemic. Thank you, everyone.